Hello, hello, hello. This is a guide on a certain fun build that I wanted to make for a while. For this build, I'm using maxed out strengths, agility, and vitality. Both strengths and vitality are fully corrupted. And keep in mind that this build will require level 13 sorcery to function properly, for you to be able to use all the items that it requires. One of the main ingredients for this build is sacrificial blood. If you are already at level 13 sorcery, I'm pretty sure you know how to get it. You just need a ton of captured trolls, not captured as in the ones that went through the Wheel of Pain, but just captured and that you just dragged to Sacrificial Altar, and then you place them in there and you get a ton of sacrificial blood. I'd personally recommend having a few stacks of sacrificial blood on the Circle of Power in order to summon a lot of components without a lot of hassle. Another ingredient that you need in fairly large quantities is demon blood, and a part of that you will need heavy padding, hardened steel, and shaped wood. For this build, we will need abyssal armor, the hammer, and the bow. Like those are three things that you definitely need. You could also get a demon and a horse, but they have a tendency of going hostile in the middle of a fight, and they're not very reliable. I would not recommend them, to be honest. All of those things are summoned at the Circle of Power. They require different degrees of sorcery, but since we're going for abyssal armor, we'll need sorcery at level 13. The most important thing to notice and to highlight is that the armor and weapons are very lightweight. So they don't require a lot of carrying capacity, but you can use all the kind of buffs that you want on top of it to increase your inventory space. Another important thing that probably useful for PvP, even though I haven't tested it, is that you can summon large quantities of those armors and weapons. And if you die, you can throw them away and summon new ones. So that's a very interesting thing that unfortunately I haven't tested on PvP servers, but potentially it gives a kind of appeal for PvP for this build. So potentially, if you have a base in a very hidden location and you can summon a lot of this armor and weapons, you can attack your opponents infinitely as long as your circle of power is in a very hidden, very secluded location. The main and most interesting mode of transportation that I would recommend for this build is the bat. And there's a little bit of a trick that you can use if you're traveling with a bat over a short distance, especially if it's cliffs or anything like that. First of all, you cast a slow fall spell that will reduce your falling speed, and then you summon a bat. Keep in mind and keep track of the buffs that you have, and you can see it on the lower left near your action bar. As long as you have it, you can drop from any distance and you'll survive, which is really interesting and makes using the bat way easier in a lot of ways. But even for longer distances, if you don't want to throw away your mount, if you don't want to risk it, you can always use the bat. And it's not too fast. You should be careful when landing, but it's a fairly adequate mode of transportation. The highlight of this build is the damage you can do with both bows and your hammer. So I'd say it shines when you have to kill one target at a time, because you can take out huge chunks of health, if not kill instantaneously everything with a bow. But whenever someone runs towards you, you can always pull out the hammer and use the hammer to finish the job essentially. It really shines when you can kill one target at a time. However, in any case scenarios that you're facing multiple opponents, it will do all right. Don't expect it to be extremely good. If you're very agile and if you're reacting really fast, you'll be fine with it. So you can essentially switch between bow and mace as at any time, and you can kill a lot of opponents even if there's a large number of them running towards you and trying to kill you. So it will work. I would not recommend fighting with this kind of build against like huge packs of monsters, but it will work. It will work. You just need to be fast, you just need to be agile, and it will do its job fairly well. So essentially, it works as making you a sort of a glass cannon, high damage with both bows and maces, but a little bit less survivability compared to heavy armor. And because you don't really have followers, of course you can get followers for this build, like it's up to you. But you're doing a lot of damage and you should be very agile for it to work properly as intended. You can even kill some bosses with it, but that's not a build I would recommend for comfortable farming bosses or clearing dungeons. Even though, again, if you're fast enough, you can clear bosses. In theory, you could probably even clear dungeons with it. But because you don't rely on followers, it's fine. It's alright. It's fun. But I would not recommend it for farming dungeons or bosses. Instead, for farming bosses and dungeons, I would recommend different build that I've detailed on my channel as well, that I'm using for streams and I'm using most of the time as well. It relies on 2 followers and it greatly boosts their damage, and it's very comfortable for farming dungeons and bosses overall. However, this build is pretty fun. It's pretty fun. I had a lot of fun with bow and mace, to be honest. It's quite fun, and probably it has a lot of PvP potential, even though I haven't really tested it in that regard. I hope you found it useful. Give this video a like and subscribe for more Conan Exiles and Enshrouded content.